अस्त्युत्तरस्यां दिशिदेवतात्मा हिमालयो नाम नगाधिराजः पूर्वापरौ तोयनिधिवगाह्य स्थितः पृथिव्या इव मानदण्डः. Okay. I think we finished with the eighth shloka. So this is the tapas, the preparation for tapas that Parvati is doing here. Before she goes, there is a series of exchanges that happen. Whatever she was wearing before is now being replaced by that which is very conducive to the tapas or the ashrama atmosphere. She has to live in the forest, or even if it is nearby, still it's in the ashrama that she has to live, and her dressing and everything should be more uchitam for tapas, right? So the last shloka that we saw was Vimuchyasa hara maharya nischaya vilolayashti pravilupta chandanam babandha balaruna babhruvalkalam payodharotsedha vishirna samhati. So she let go of that haram that she was wearing, and then instead of wearing silk cloth, she now wore valkalam around her chest here, which is valkalam is more like a bark garment, and it's a very rough textured one, right? So the next one is about her hair. Yatha prasiddhair madhuram shiroruhaihi jatabhirapyevam abhut tadananam na षट्पदश्रेणिभिरेव पङ्कजं सशैवलासङ्गम् अपि प्रकाशते. यथा शिरोरुहैः प्रसिद्धैः शिरोरुहैः मधुरं तदाननम् एवमेव जटाभिः अपि अभूत्. So her face, which was beautiful with the well-decorated hair, prasiddhaihi shiroruhaihi. Prasiddha here is not famous. You take it as prasadhanam kritam. Prasadhanam bhushitam. So bhushanam kritam. So the her hair, shiroruha, she had decorated her hair with different hairstyle and all that. And her face was very beautiful because of her hair being decorated in that manner. Just as how she was beautiful with the decorated hair, in the same way here also she had jata on her hair now. So jata bhihi shiroruhaihi, the shiroruha hair which was tied up into knots like jata, evam tadananam madhuram abhut. Her face was very sweet to look at, whether it was well decorated in hairstyling or ornamented, or whether it had jata, matted hair. So he gives an upama. It's actually a prativastupama here. Na षट्पद श्रेणिभिरेव पंकजम सशैवलासंगमपि प्रकाशते. पंकजम षट्पद श्रेणिभिः एव प्रकाशते इति न, किन्तु शैवलासंगम आसंगेन सहितमपि प्रकाशते. So a lotus, not only is it very beautiful because of a row of bees, only when the row of bees are there it looks beautiful. Iti tatha nasti. Even with moss around it, it shines very beautifully. So this is in comparison, saying that Shatpada Shreni is the earlier decoration that she had on her hair, whereas this moss kind of thing is, it's not a very, என்ன சொல்றது, ஒரு இந்த டவுன்ல எல்லாம் பண்ற மாதிரி இல்ல அப்படின்னு. Even though there is a rural feel to it, still it is much more, it is beautiful. It is making her face very beautiful. We'll go over the Vyakhyanam. He goes over that very beautifully. Tapo anurupam jata dharanam api bhangyantarena aha. So tapo anurupam jata dharanam, having matted hair which is anurupam, which is very conducive to tapas, has been described in a very beautiful manner here. So tad ananam prasiddhaihi shiroruhaihi yatha madhuram abhut jatabhihi api evam madhuram abhut. Tasyaha ananam mukham prasiddhaihi bhushitaihi. So prasadhanam is bhushanam, or doing styling. So prasiddhaihi, with alankarana vastu, churna kusumadi alankritaihi ityartha. Her hair was decorated with flowers and churnam. Churnam is powder. See, powdered hair was something very famous during the late 17th century and 18th century and all. This was there even before. This was during Narayana Pandita, must have been even before that. right? So churna kusumadi alankritaihi, using powder, you use hair powder to style your hair. So tadrisha alankritaihi shiroruhaihi keshaihi madhuram manoharam evam shabdaha tatha shabdarte, evam in the same manner, tatha iti, yatha shabdastu vidyate atra kintu tatha iti shabdaha nasti, so it takes it as evam. Sambrani is not powder, no? Sambrani is just dhoop dane. It is only dhumam eva tatra. It's not powder. It's only smoke. But this is not smoke. Literally, there is something called powdered hair. They put powder on the hair so that it dries the hair and makes it easier for them to style. So you can search for powdered hair on Google and you will know. It's all a Victorian age or a height. It was very common. If you have read classics, you will find that expression. Evam shabdaha tatha shabdarte. So yatha iti shabdaha vidyate tatha nasti, tasmad atra evam iti shabdaha eva tatha ityarthe upayujyate. Yatha tapas samayat purvam tadananam bhushitaihi keshaihi madhuram abhut. Just as how her face was very beautiful before she decided to undertake this tapas, right? Tapas samayat purvam, before this time of penance, her face was bhushitam. It was well decorated with hair that was well decorated. Bhushitaihi keshaihi madhuram abhut. It was looking beautiful. Punaha jatabihi api tatha madhuram abhut ityartah. So he quotes from Shakuntalam here. Kimivahi madhuranam mandanam nakritinam. Sarasijam anuviddham shaivalena piramyam malinamapi himamshor lakshma lakshmim tanoti iyam adhika manognya valkalena pitanvi kimivahi madhuranam mandanam nakritinam. That's the whole shloka there. This comes in the first act. He says it's the 18th shloka. So Dushyanta looks at Shakuntala and he says this, something that is automatically beautiful, which is very intrinsically beautiful, doesn't need any artificial ornaments there. So madhuranam akritinam kimiva mandanam na vidyate. Anything can be something that is ornamentative for a form which is already beautiful. So Shakuntala by nature is extremely beautiful. So whether she wears ornaments or whether she wears valkalam, it doesn't matter. Bark garment, it doesn't matter. Whether it is a silk garment or a bark garment, it doesn't. The beauty is not in the outward ornamentations, but it is more to do with the form, the beauty that is intrinsic there. So he explains the first three.
Akriti iti?
Akritihi, form. Rupam.
So madhura, of beautiful forms. Madhuranam akritinam?
Akritinam kimiva mandanam na asti. Sarvameva mandanattaya vidyate eva. So the explanation he gives is sarasijam anuviddham shaivalena api ramyam. Shaivalena anuviddham sarojam api ramyameva vartate. A lotus with the shaivala. Shaivala is moss. So even if it is it has moss, it's still looking very beautiful. Lakshma lakshmim tanoti. Malinam api himamshoho lakshma lakshmim tanoti. Himamshoho, Chandrasya Lakshma, the kalankam that is there in the moon, even though it is malinam, even though it is dark in color, even though it looks like it's a dirty spot on the moon, still it enhances the beauty of the moon. Iyam adhika manognya valkalena api tanvi. Iyam tanvi valkalena api, even though she has bark garment, tathapi adhika manognya, she attracts the mind even more. She's more beautiful. So he justifies these three statements by kimivahi madhuranam mandanam nakritinam. Mandanam madhuranam akritinam mandanam kim kim na vidyate sarvameva mandanataya vidyate. Here very similarly jatabihi yatha purvam bhushitaihi keshaihi madhuram asit tasyaha ananam tathaiva atrapi adhunapi tapassamaye jatabhihi madhurameva vartate. Asmin arthe Prativastupamam darshayati. So this is a prativastupama because Iva and all is not present here. So it is just Vastu Prativastu Bhavaha is present. So Pankajam Shatpadashreni eva na prakashate kintu sa shaivala asangamapi prakashate. There he uses yatha and evam. Here he uses na kevalam kintu. That's the only difference here. But it means the same. Shatpadanam Shrenibihi Samohaihi eva na kevalam prakashate. Not only does a flower, lotus, is not shining only because of, or no, April. It not only shines with the bees around it, but it also shines even if there is moss around it. Shaivalaihi asangaha samparkaha. The connection with the shaivalam or moss, pashiங்கிறோம் இல்லையா, பாசி பிடிஞ்சிருந்தாலும் அந்த பூ அழகா இருக்குங்கிறதுக்கு. தத் சகிதம் ச shaivala ஆசங்கம் ததா பூதம் சத் அபி பிரகாசதே சோபதே. அत्रापि पूर्वार्धे परिवृत्तिः द्रष्टव्या. So this parivritti alankara, I think we saw last time also. Parivrittiः is vinimaya yaha arthanam syat sama asamaihi. So if there is an exchange of two objects, either between two sama objects or two objects which are not equal, you can either exchange one to one properly, or you can give an extra and expect less, or it can be samena asamaha parivrittihi athava asamena sama parivrittihi, something like that you can have. Sama parivrittihi na equal exchange of items. I give 3, he also gives me 3. Then that is an equal exchange. If it is asama parivritti, then if I give 2, he gives me 3. Or if I give 3, he can give me 2. Then it is a non-equal exchange of items. Is it clear? This is a type of alankara.
So here the Shatpada Shreni has been exchanged with the Shaivala?
I think it's only in the first half, no? Purvardhe parivrittihi, because we need the context here.
Okay.
Adhikaga. So you take it as bhushita shiroruhaha jatabhihi tatra parivartita.
Okay, so it has been exchanged by the jata. Okay. So okay, now when we say prativastupama, can you just remind us, Mohali, what is the lakshanam?
Vastu prativastu bhavaha. So wherever there is a upamana vakyam upameya vakyam vartate, but then there is no eva to say the upamanam and the upameya vakyam. There is in drishtantam madri, but here it is the samanya dharma is the same. Madhuram abhut ityasti atratu prakashate iti asti. So the sadharana dharma is very similar. There is no drishtanta, the sadharana dharma is different.
Oh, I see. Sadharana dharma, for example? Idukku vandu madena bhati kalabaha pratipena mahipatihi. So bhati is the same sadharana dharma for both. That is the drishtanta. Okay.
Drishtantam vandu different இருக்கும். அதுக்கு என்ன ஸ்லோகம் பார்த்தோம்? நிறைய பார்த்தோமே நம்ம குவலயானந்தத்துல. ஒரு தடவை பார்த்தோம். यथा प्रसिद्धैर मधुरं शिरोरुहैः जटाभिरप्येवम् अभूत् तदाननं न षट्पदश्रेणिभिरेव पङ्कजं सशैवलासङ्गमपि प्रकाशते. प्रतिक्षणं सा कृतरोम विक्रियां व्रताय मौञ्जीं त्रिगुणां बभारयां अकारि तत्पूर्व निबद्धया तया स रागमस्या रचना गुणास्पदम्. Instead of her Rashana, that is in her on her hip, she usually has a hip chain, Udyanambo. Alladhu and the Kira, and the Udyanam and the Mela Patti Madri Irko, Kira, there is a hip chain which is more the Sarama Tungo, Aduk Unacholo. So Renda Vidama Katikla. Inge Vande Rashana can mean either the chain kind of thing or the patti kind of ornament that she wears. So Rashana Guna Aspadam, the place where her hip chain usually is present. Sa Ragam akari, taya. Taya maunjya. Now, and in that place, she removed the ornament and now she wore maunji. Maunji bandhanam iti. It is a maunji grass is usually tied around the waist. So this is a sign of Upanayanam, right? So when you do the Upanayanam, you are given that Upanayana thread, and also in the north and all, they call it as Maunji Bandhanam. They look for the Muhurtam for Maunji Bandhanam, whereas we do the Muhurtam for Brahmopadesham. So, Tvameva Kirtiman Rajan, Vidureva Kantiman. Okay. So that is Drishtantam. Kirti is the Sadharana Dharma in the Upamanam. In the Upameya, it is the Kanti. Okay. So this is different. Okay, fine. So Maunji Bandhanam. Maunji is a type of grass like Kusha grass, but it is a longer, it is twisted. 3 of those grass are twisted into a rope, and then that is tied around the waist for the bark garment to stand in place. And it is also a kind of a ceremony that is done before you undertake tapas. Or if you have already had Upanayana Samskara, then the Maunji Bandhanam would have happened before. When you go to tapas, you actually tie the Maunji Bandhanam. Or when you are in the Brahmacharya Ashrama, men usually, the boys usually have that constantly tied at the hip. They don't remove it. Just like how you don't remove the Yajnopavitam thread. In the same way, the Maunji that is tied in the waist, that is also not removed. So that's how it was before. Today, our skin is so soft, and then we think that it scratches the skin, and so we remove it, right? So here she ties that Maunji instead of her hip chain here. And that Maunji is Trigunam. Trigunam Maunjim Vrataya Babhara. Now she took on that Maunji, that grass, for Vratam, because she is going to do tapas for the next few months until she attains Shiva. She decided to tie that grass, which was 3 ropes tied together. Trigunam Maunjim Vrataya Babhara Yam Maunjim Babhara Taya Maunjya Eva. Because of that Maunji, the place where her Rashana was placed before, Saragam Akari, with that Maunji made that the hip portion become really red because it was very scratchy for her. Pratikshanam Krita Roma Vikriyam, because it was scratching and constantly rubbing against her skin, it was giving her that horripilation. So Krita Roma Vikriya. Pratikshanam. At every moment, whenever she sat down, imagine tying a rope of, that coarse grass, and then every time you do an activity, it is going to remind you, okay, that I'm there. No? So, tatha pratikshanam, at every moment, the scratching of that Maunji seems to give her goosebumps. Sa pratikshanam kritaroma vikriyam Trigunam Maunjim Yam Vrataya Babhara, the Maunji that she tied in order so that she can do penance, that Tatpurva Nibaddhaya Rashana Guna Aspadam, Tatpurva Nibaddhaya in the sense Rashanayaha Purvam Ya Nibaddha Taya Maunji. The construct here is a little bit confusing. So how it comes is, this Tatpurva Nibandhanam goes with Taya here, in the sense the Maunji before which was tied a Rashana. Okay, with that Maunji, this becomes the Karta here. So Taya Maunjya, அந்த இடுப்புல கட்டிட்டு இருக்கிற அந்த முஞ்சா நூலுனால அவளுக்கு சிவப்பு ஆக்கப்பட்டது அப்படி எடுக்கணும். So it is a bhave prayogama. Saragam akari asyaha rashana guna aspadam illa karmani prayogam. So rashana guna aspadam, the hip, the portion where she ties her hip chain, tat sthanam tu aspadam, that sthanam became with saragam, became with color. Adu shevandu peduthu artham.
So the rashana gunaspadam is the place where the rope is tied.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So that aspadam saragam akari was made red.
Red. By what? By Maunji. So Taya Maunjya.
Taya Maunjya. Kidrishi Maunjya nama
Tat purva nibaddhaya.
Before it was tied, it was not read. No, tat purva nibaddhaya. So it became read by the Maunji, which was tied before.
Yes.
Before it became red. Okay, fine.
Yes, before it became red.
Oh my God.
It's a very ரொம்ப convoluted-ஆ இருக்கு அந்த இது. So vrataya avashya kartavyam maunji bandhanam api aha. So this is something that needs to be done. Like the ஒரு காப்பு கட்டிப்பா, you know, before any diksha, like a diksha vratam, they usually tie one string in the hand or something like that. Even before your marriage, 4 days of marriage, they start with that hand, they tie a thread in the hand, and then for the next 4 days they are not supposed to move out of that sthanam wherever that rituals are going to happen. This is there for yagam also. If you have decided to participate in a yajna, then for how many ever days that yagam has to happen, until that time you don't move out of that place, and it vrataya tad bandhanam tu kriyate. Kidrisham bandhanam tu, that depends on the ritual that you are going to undertake. Sa trigunam yam maunjim vrataya babhara tat purva nibaddhaya taya asyaha rashana gunaspadam saragam akari. Trayaha gunaha avrittayaha. Here he takes it as gunam is 3 times. It has been tied 3 times. Or there are 3 threads, like in the Yajnopavitam, which also has 3 threads knotted together. Tamilla muppuri noolumbo. 3 முறை அது வந்து இது பண்ணிருக்கு அப்படின்னு சொல்றது தமிழ்ல அதுக்கு. அதனால it's a triguna avrittaya. Avritti is repetitions 3 times of the same thread. So yam maunjim munja lataya kritam mekhalam. Mekhala is the ornament that you wear in the hip, waist. Mekhalam vrataya babhara tat purvam iti bandhana kriya visheshanam. Tadeva bandhanam purvam yatha bhavati tatha nitaram baddhaya. Idam saragatva vidhane hetuhu. So இதுதான் எனக்கு வந்து சுத்தமா why this whole thing is there ன்னு எனக்கு புரியல. I wanted to check the Mallinatha ஒரே ஒரு நிமிஷம். So the mean,
what is the simple meaning?
So the simple meaning is tat purva nibaddha is just fastened there for the first time at that moment. So which means maunji tu tatra prathamataya tatra nibaddha maunji ya asit. Tat purvam tu na nibaddha. Purvam you take it as not before, but you take it as prathamam. So I think Mallinatha gives the perfect translation for that. He says nirvachanam. He says ஒரு நிமிஷம் இங்க இருக்கு. So tadeva purvam is equal to prathamam. You get confused because it is purvamna நமக்கு முன்னாடி முன்னாடின்னு நினைச்சிட்டு before அப்படின்னு சொல்லியே பழகிடுது இல்ல. So you take it as tadeva bandhanam purvam yatha bhavati prathamam yatha bhavati tatha. Idi. So taya maunjya, because this maunji was tied for the first time, with that maunji asyaha parvatyaha rashana guna aspadam kanchi guna sthanam. Kanchi, rashana, mekhala, all these are paryayavachi shabdas indicating that hip chain, waist chain. Saragam akari ragaha arunyam aruna varnam akarot tadyuktam kritam. It made it into a reddish color. Pratikshanam krita vikriyam krita roma vikriyam trigunattvena atyanta dussahatvat, because it was tied thrice and there are 3 gunas in it. If it was just 1, then it is fine, because there are 3 of those coarsely knotted together or twisted together. It is even worse than 1 being there. So the ati dussahatvat kshane kshane, at every moment vihita romancham ityartha. Atra rashana guna aspada shabdena rajanam parityajya tatstane maunji bandhanam dyotyate iti parivrittihi dvanyate. There is no direct reference to she left her rashana. Rashana tu atra parityakta tadanantaram maunji bandhanam kritam iti parivrittihi sakshat na varnitam. So it's only with the word Rashana Guna Aspadam Saragam Kritam, the place where usually the Rashana is placed or the Kanchi, the Udyanam is placed, that place became very reddish in color. Tatha eva varnitam. Then what is indicated by that? The Dhvani here is Rashanam Parityajya. She let go of that decorative item and then Tatsthane, in that place, Maunji Bandhanam Kritam. She tied the Maunji rope. Iti Dyotyate. So this is suggested, hence the Paripritya Alankara here is suggested and not directly expressed. Atra Saragadi Shabdashaktya Arthantaramapi Vyajyate. This is seen only here. Mallinatha doesn't say this. I don't think Mallinatha Saukumarya Atishayati Ityeva Vartate, whereas Narayana Pandita takes it a little bit further and he gives a something like a Samasokti. There is a Vyangya here, not Samasokti Kudalla. Actually, it is a Vyangyam, that's all. What is the Vyangyartha here? Yatha kaschit kami kayachin naikaya purvam chirasangataha san apurvaya triyadika gunaya anyaya sangataha sutaram raktaha bhavati. Tat samyoge pratikshanam udbhuta romanchaha api bhavati tatha asyaha katipradeshaha rajanaya chirasangataha san trigunaya tat purvanibadhaya vihita romanchaya maunjya nitaram saragaha vihitaha. So this is more like a samasukti, but it's also, there is a Vyangyartha there and you take an aupamyam to this Vyangyartha. I won't say there is samasukti here, more like a Vyangyartha. It doesn't fit the context. So anyway, let me explain this Vyangyartha, what Narayana Pandita tries to say, but then it is completely viruddham to the context. So yatha kaschit kami, there is some a lustful person who is with one naika before. Kayachit naikaya purvam chirasangataha san. One who has always been associated one naika for a long time, one steady girlfriend he has had. Apurvaya triyadhika gunaya anyaya sangataha. Suddenly there is one new person who has with whom he has a relationship now, who has triyadhika guna, who has who is a little bit more qualified than the present girlfriend, no? So, or the old girlfriend. So this new lady seems to be more having more qualities, and so he is now associated himself with her. Sutaram raktaha bhavati. He is extremely attached to this new lady. Tat samyoge pratikshanam. When he is with her, at every moment he experiences romancha, udbhuta romanchaha bhavati. So tatha, in the same manner, asyaha katipradeshaha rashanaya chirasangataha api. Even though the rashana was there, that is the udyanam, that hip chain was there in her for a long time, still it did not. So passion generally wanes away after a few days. மோகம் 30 நாள் ஆசை 60 நாளும்பா அந்த மாதிரி. So the passion or raga can mean color, it can also mean the love, passion. So it just fades away or it just goes into a stagnation. So initially when she first started wearing the rashana, probably she had that reddish mark on her hip, but now after wearing it for a long time, she doesn't have that, and the thalumbu illa avalukku. Okay, now a new it is being replaced by this maunji lata. Tat purva nibaddhaya vihita romanchaya maunjya nitaram saragaha. Now when this is being tied for the first time, and this is her first experience tying that maunji on her hip, so it is nitaram saragaha vihitaha. So which means that katipradeshaha, her hip has been made really reddish in color because of this maunji which has been tied for the first time.
Thalumbu anna?
Thalumbu na marking la oru scar.
Okay.
இது வந்து तपस् समये तु किमर्थम् एतादृशी व्यञ्जना इति न ज्ञायते, but it's okay. That's his opinion. Pratikshanam sa krita roma vikriyam vrataya maunjim trigunam babharayam akari tatpurva nibaddhayataya saragamasya rashana gunaspadam. Nisrishta ragad adharan nivartitaha stanangara.
I don't even remember that the Upanayam. I don't remember that Maunji even.
Maunji Bandhanam.
I don't even remember it. You know, like
they actually do it and then immediately edutudra. But I've seen, I went for one, I think in Pune when I was living there, we were invited for one they didn't say Yajñopavitam or Brahmopadesham. It said Maunji Bandhan and Muhurtam.
Oh, that was the important thing. So, how important?
அது அவளுக்கு ரொம்ப இம்பார்ட்டண்டா இருக்கு. So that muhurta time, within that muhurtam time, they do the Maunji Bandhanam.
And I guess they keep changing it as the boy becomes older.
Bigger, ஆமா. They should. அதுதானே இந்த இது பண்றச்சு ஆவணி ஆவட்டம் போது you change your Yajñopavitam in the same way they will change that Maunji also.
Makes sense. Okay. Got it.
Nisrishta ragad adharan nivartitaha stanangaragaruниtat cha kandukat kushankuradana parikshatangulihi kritakshasutra pranayitaya karaha. Now her finger, he describes her hand here. Kusha Adanam, Akshamala Dharanam, these are all part of the Vratam. That is, you have to bring Kusha grass for every day, Darbha, and Akshasutram. Akshasutram is either Rudraksha or Spatikam, something. Here probably it is Akshasutram iti karanata tatra Rudrakshaha eva bhaveta. So she has a string of Rudrakshas and she's probably having it in her hand constantly. So her hand, which is now, or her neck, which has Akshasutram. So her hand is now, because she goes and plucks Kusha grass, it is not very easy to take that. And the Kusha Ankuram, the more tender it is, the more sharp the Kusha grass are. So that Kusha grass, when you try to take it out, sometimes it's the first time she is doing it also. She's never done it in her life. So now she is plucking those or cutting those grass, darbha, and that is giving her scratches all over her fingers. So her hand is such that her hand has now the fingers which are parikshatam, are wounded because of collecting kusha grass. Kusha ankura adana parikshata angulihi karaha. So her hand which has anguli, fingers which are now parikshatam, because of the adanam, because of collecting kusha ankura, the small portion. You don't take the bottom portion, you only take the top portion. So removing that top portion is actually a skill. That is why the word kushala also comes from that. Because kushana lati iti kushalaha. So one who cuts kusha grass, right? So cutting that is a kind of an expert, something that only an expert does. So it is very difficult to do that. That's why the word kushala means an expert. It's a rudhyartha, yoga rudin sollikalam, but it has nothing to do with when you say saha pake kushalaha, one who is skilled in cooking. That doesn't have anything to do with the darbha grass or right? But we still use that word here. So and the kusham and the darbha pulla parikiradungiradhu avlo difficult adukkaga solren. So nisrishta ragat adharat nivartitaha karaha. Before she used to apply the color for her lips. So her hands were always reddish in color because they were trying to apply the lip color for her lips. And so now, whereas they are kshata anguli, they are also red even now. But at the same time, it is not because of applying the red color to her lips, but it is because of getting wounded. So, nisrishta ragat adharat nivartitaha. Nivartitaha, she has stopped herself from putting on that color. Her hand has turned away, nivartitaha. It has turned away and it is no longer used to apply color, ragam, for the adhara, for the lower lip, from which the red color has been completely removed. Nisrishta. Nisrishtaha ragaha yasmat tadrisha adharat karaha nivartitaha. So she has taken away her finger from the lower lip, which does not have any red color at all right now. She has stopped applying red color. Next, stana angaraga arunitat cha kandukat nivartitaha. Her hand, again, it has also removed itself from the ball, that is, she used to play with the ball, and now she no longer plays with the ball. She's past that playing stage, and now she is going to do penance. So that is why her hand has nivartitaha. It has turned away from the ball, kandukat, from playing a ball. It is so which is already red from the angaragam, from the makeup that she puts on her chest. Another, when you hold a ball and throw it and keep playing, it is natural that the ball comes into contact with her bosoms. So the color that she applies, or the makeup, or kunkumadi, yat stanayoho tatra asit purvam, that ball used to have those color, and because she also catches that ball, her hand used to have that angaragam or makeup which she used to wear on her chest. Now both are absent here. Nivartitaha tadrisha kandukat nivartitaha karaha taya kushankura adana parikshata angulihi karaha taya akshasutra pranayi kritaha. Now she has made her hand to be என்ன சொல்றது, ஒரு பிடித்தது, அதாவது friend, பிரணயின friend ன்னு எடுத்துக்கலாம். It is a friend to the rudraksha mala. Aதாவது it's constantly having only rudraksha mala in her hand, and it is also scarred by collecting darbha grass, and it is long left or forgotten all the way to apply color to the lips, or the way to play with the ball, and that youth has passed, and she has become very serious in her vratam right now.
It's almost like a chvi, right? Pranayi krita, if you say that will be a chvi, but krita pranayi, right?
Krita akshasutra pranayi pranayinau pranayinaha. This is a tachilye. Tachilye. Pranayah asya asti iti pranayi.
Pranayi taya kritaha. By her, it was made different.
Yes. She made sa karam akshasutra pranayinam akarot. Abdi varnam.
Iti in kartari.
Kartari, yes.
And here he's made whole thing in karmani.
Yeah. Kushadanam akshamala dharanam cha aha taya karaha nisrishtarāgāt adharāt stanangaraga arunitat kandukat cha nivartitaha kushankura adana parikshata angulihi akshasutra pranayi cha kritaha. Nisrishtaha tyaktaha ragaha lakshadihi yasmat. So that lipstick, then the kaiya vechinde you apply with your finger, right? The lip balm, some varieties which have that. So idam kara nivartane hetuhu, because the ragam tu tatra nasti eva, she has stopped wearing it, and completely there is no color in her red lip, in her lower lip. And then stanatata ghatitaihi angaragaihi kumkumadi anulepanaihi arunitat arunikratat. This is your chvi pratyaya. Arunikratat kandukat cha nivartitaha. She has also removed her hand from the kandukam ball, which is usually made red from the contact with her chest. Kandukasya patana samaye stanayoho upari sthapitatvat. When you are playing with the ball, you place it on top of your breasts, and tasya tadanga arunitatvat. Tasya kandukasya tadanga tadangaraga stanayoho angaragaat arunitatva. Etacha Kanduka seva swabhavat avaseyam. You have to understand this as a natural action that you do when you play with a ball. Kushanam darbhanam ankuraha kushankuraha abhinava udbhidi. Udbhidangardu maram nartham. Abhinava udbhit is something that just blooms out. Yeah? Bursts open. Pudusa vella abde vedichindu varradungardu da ankura. Tesham paristaranadi artham adanena. Tesham paristaranadhyartham. In order to use the darba grass for shayya, that is for a bedding or as a seat, you need darba grass for all of these purposes. And for that purpose, adanena parikshataha paritaha samantat kshataha angulayaha. Her fingers are scratched everywhere. Kushanam krura sparshatvam anguli parikshatau hetuhu. So the kusha, grass, has a very sharp touch, and that's why her fingers are all scratched. Ankura shabda upadanat, by saying that it is an ankuram, it is a sprout or the newly sprouted. Usually when we say ankuram, or when we think of, small leaves that come out, it is very soft. But the kusha grass is ankuram, sprout, is even more sharp. Krura sparshatvam suchitam. Akshasutram akshamala pranayaha snehaha parichayaha va iti. So akshasutre pranayaha asya asti iti akshasutra pranayi. That which has a friendship or a liking towards, sneham towards the Rudrakshamala. Parvati tapassamaye nija karam adhararanjana kanduka aghata rupat karyadvayat nivarya. She removed her finger or her hand from doing two works. One is Nija Karam Adhara Ranjanam. Adhara Ranjanam is applying paint to her lips. Kanduka Aghatam, hitting the ball or playing with a ball. Iti Karra Dvayat Nivarya. She stops her hand from doing both these works. And what does she do now? Kusha Ankura Adanam. Akshamala parivartana rupam. Parivartanam is rotating the akshamala. That one after the other you do it, right? So iti karya dvaya param akarot. She ensured that her hand was involved in only these two works. Atra ekasyaiva karasya adharadau darbhankuradau cha kramena vartanat paryayaha alankaraha. So the hand keeps changing its adharam one after the other. So the alankara here is called paryaya alankara. Ekam anekasmin, ekam ekasmin va kramena paryayaha. Either one object is present in many at the same time, or one can be present in one after the other in an order, in a successive order. So initially karaha raga adhara ranjane asit kanduka aghate asit prathamam tadanantaram karaha darbha adane asit akshamala parivartane cha asit. So it was involved in these two. First it was in something else, then after some time its adharam became something else, some other kriya. Okay, adharam need not be just an object here, it can also be a kriya. So this is called paryaya alankara. Paryaya means kramam. Phalataha parivrittihi eva. Phalataha ityukte tatparyam. There is also parivritti alankara here, but it is more in the vyangya. The paryaya is more beautiful. So paryayasya atra vaichitriya vishesha abhavat. Oh, appadi solra. Okay. Sure. So paryayasya vaichitri abhavat, appo vyangyam paryaya alankara, so parivritti alankara. So the parivritti alankara is more beautiful.
What is the parivritti here?
Parivritti is the exchange. No? You give up one to take another.
So the exchange of the ball work. And the action from one to the other.
Yes.
But it's not vyangyam, it's spashtam uktam eva.
It's spashtam eva. Yeah, it's not vyangyam. Ama. So I would say this is an angi alankara and paryaya is the angam.
Paryaya would be the angam because it is Nirakshira Bhava.
Nirakshira bhavam da eduthukano. Ama. Yes, angangi bhava sankaraha. Yeah. Nisrishta ragad adharan nivartitaha stanangaragaarunitacha kandukat kushankuradana parikshatangulihi krito akshasutra pranayi taya karaha. Okay.